Welcome once again to another episode of the News Dash. It just feels a little foreign right now.
We have a new guest.
That's right, a new guest that just joined the show. If you don't know who I am, my name is Jervis, and I think it's been a busy past few weeks for me, and I'm just so thankful and blessed that the whole team was supporting the News Dash really well and brought a lot of different flavors and of course different kind of perspectives, to the real estate news in Singapore, right? And if you may be wondering why am I so busy in the past few weeks, right? GNA Real Estate has been going through major shifts, major changes. It's still under, how do I put this? It's still something that is not seen, but of course a lot of things have to be prepared when we are stewarding the ship. So, but I'm glad that I'm back, and I was just telling Geraldine that when I walk into the studio, right, I just feel so excited because I love being on set, and I think, it's just allowing me to be able to converse to all of you all who are watching, okay? So thank you so much. Yes, thank you, welcome me back. And as you know, the News Desk is actually where two full-time real estate agents turned part-time newscasters decide to bring you the news of Singapore's real estate specifically to you, wherever you are. We have some viewers who are in Australia, we have some viewers who are in the US, and they're telling us that, they are really watching and keeping updated to the news that we bring to them, right? So, if you have been following our News Dash a couple of months or even couple of weeks, thank you so much for the support. And, the whole purpose of the News Dash is just to bring you that objective perspective and the alternative opinion in the market. We just hope that we can be the truth and also the light. That sounds a little... the truth and also the light of the industry, right? Just to be a little more candid with you so that you realize that, real estate is not as complicated as it seems, right? And, moving forward in a couple of months, you're going to see very interesting updates, interesting guests that are coming on board to talk about real estate as well, okay? So without further ado, let's just kick things off, right? All right, the first news that we have, wow. This is something that's a hot topic, right? For a couple of weeks and months. There were so many opinions on the ground. Thankfully, none of our realtors, if you are wondering, are involved in this case, right? But 105. My hair is standing when I say this because I'm just hoping there's a fire sale. And I think a lot of people are hoping that there's going to be a fire sale. When is the auction? Some people are some of my clients are like, I really like that pink color Rolls Royce that is in the photo, and the watches, right?
The wines, the bags.
The wines, the bags, right? And of course, I'm also thinking about the storage cost and the facility that is needed to upkeep such things, right? But 105 real estate properties worth $831 million were seized. And fun fact, that week, when 400 policemen stormed the various locations, which mostly were in the Good Class Bungalows area, they were rented out to these individuals. In Australia, they also had the same incident that happened. So the Australian police, I think if I'm not wrong, was in Sydney. They also stormed, right, to catch some money launderers as well. So let's talk about it. Geraldine, what do you know about this case?
Okay, so I think this news was the hottest news for the past 1 to 2 weeks.
Yeah.
A lot of people were talking about this. Absolutely. And then I had clients ask me about this, saying, should I just wait for the properties to be auctioned before I actually buy something?
Yes.
So, so let's see. So 1 billion of assets were seized this past week from the 10 foreign nationals, and 831 million of which is in real estate.
Wow.
And
Can I just say something first?
Yeah.
You see? Even when people are laundering money, the thing that they invest in is real estate. Right? I mean, you could have bought plenty of bags, or you can even put most of your wealth abroad, right? Yeah. I'm certain that they have wealth that is abroad, right? But I'm just thinking that, hey, this actually shows that they are wise with their money management, right? Yeah, and these real estate properties have actually, fun fact, appreciated.
Yep, a lot.
And a lot. And not only that, right? Another thing that you will note is this, right? This $1 billion that were caught in Singapore, I heard that it's not the only one. It may even be potentially 1/10 of what the government or what the police is actually investigating right now.
Yeah,
yes,
that's right.
Back to you,
Yeah, so out of this 831 million, where are this real estate in, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of people were asking, and so to see, 105 real estate properties were actually consisting of detached houses in Sentosa Cove. 79 of which were condominium units.
Wow.
I think a lot of them penthouses in Orchard.
Yeah.
And 19 were commercial or industrial spaces.
Yes. So one of our viewers, or one of our clients as well, they asked us this question. They said, this is a fun fact, right? I'm just wondering, right? He's not involved in money laundering. He was just wondering, would you want to have 4 years of living like a king and then getting arrested, right? Or, I mean, that's about $100 million, right? Or would you rather live a life of simplicity, And, there's just so many ways of making money right now, right? There is the very clean and clear-cut way. There's, of course, the very gray area. So maybe I can just ask you, right? If let's say right now, that you can make $200 million, which seems very simple for all of them.
Yep.
And they are young, they're 31 to 44, right? I don't think I'll even have that kind of wealth at 44 years old. But, would you want to make that kind of wealth and be able to enjoy that luxury for 4 to 5 years of your life?
Yep.
Or would you rather live a life of simplicity and, maybe potentially not even 10 million for the whole life, but, you still live life, more peaceful? Which one will you choose?
I will definitely choose the 1 billion. Just kidding.
I was just wondering where the hesitation came from. I think it was formulating the fake response. Okay,
1 billion for 4 years.
Well,
No,
that's not good, right? Actually, yeah.
Okay, so definitely simplicity, right?
Yeah.
So I can live in peace.
Yeah.
I don't have to be sleeping, worrying when I'm gonna get caught or arrested, and then having to jump off.
You may not have the agility to jump off like me.
Having to jump off the balcony, hiding in the drain. Yeah, no way. Yeah,
it's
no
so
way.
unfortunate, right?
Yeah.
Someone once told me this before. It said that would you want to trade place with someone? So we are like 27 this year, right?
Yeah.
Oh shit, we just gave up our age. That's fine. We're 27 this year. I was in the business since 21, and people ask me this question: would you want to trade place with someone who is 95 this year, have $1 billion, or would you want to be yourself? I said, hands down, to myself, right?
Yeah.
Time is something can never be bought. So I think the answer is clear. We definitely want to make $100 million we definitely, of course, we want a life.
100 million in 4 years.
That's
clean.
Yeah, $100 million in 4 years clean, right? If we are blessed by that. Yeah. All right. So I think there's just some questions about, where these properties will be auctioned. When will it be auctioned?
Yeah.
Do you have any insights of that?
Okay, so a lot of buyers, especially in the ultra high net worth, they were asking, should we wait for this properties to be auctioned? Because, we have 105, out of which 79 and 7 were
luxurious detached houses
in Sentosa and also in Orchard.
And we are selling a unit in Sentosa right now.
Yeah, which, two of which is in Sentosa and Orchard, which is why the buyers are asking this kind of questions.
Yes.
Because these properties are in Orchard and in Sentosa.
Yeah.
But the question is, of course, on the timeline, if you're looking to buy something in this year, then I don't suggest to wait because you never know. It can be 1-2 years, can be 3 years, you never know.
Yeah. So I think Straits Times just updated an article, which kudos to them for doing that.
Yep.
And it shared about how, the state can own all these properties, or even whether it's real estate or whether it's luxury goods, right? The state can seize them, right? As to the timeline of when they will sell, it really is dependent on when the case concludes.
Yeah.
The government is not a hooligan. They cannot the state is not a hooligan, right? They're not going to, I seize it, I'm going to sell it immediately. They won't do that. And I think another thing that I just want to share is also this. The government, being the storage of data of every single real estate transaction, they will also know not to sell it at fire sale. Right? So I don't know where that rumors
I don't think you were getting at 15 million.
You're not going to get it at 15. You're not going to get it at 18. And if, what's come to us, I think they can revert the title of the property back to the state, and the state can just hold it, right? Yeah, but I'm just waiting for some more GST vouchers that can be given to a lot of the individuals who have
from the cars,
from the bags,
the bags, the watches.
The bags and the watches. Yeah, all right. So if you're wondering, do we condone money laundering? The answer is no, and thankfully none of our realtors actually handle such money. So yeah, we're blessed because of that. All right, next on, let's go back down, right, to our heartlands, right? I mean, we have that big news of people making, $100 million at the age of 31. But now let's go on to HDBs, right? Flats, right? And I think this is something that's very close to our hearts as well, because most of our clients, being millennials or Gen Z, you are either considering getting a BTO, you are in the process of getting a BTO, or you have gotten a BTO and you're very excited to shift with your partner, or you have regretted getting a BTO and you're hoping whether you can, cancel it or not. But okay, let's talk about this. So what happened in our local news? Yeah.
Okay, so this was just addressed last week.
Yeah.
And I think this has been an ongoing discussion since last year when we were seeing high, crazy COVs paid for HDB flats since
COVs
COVID.
and COEs being paid.
Both. Especially for COVs in the resale market, especially after COVID.
Yes.
Because a lot of the delays were happening for the BTOs.
Yeah.
So they were discussing whether or not they should implement, some changes in terms of regulations for HDB flats. And last week, this was addressed by Lee Hsien Loong. That
our
new
Prime
flats, that new flats will be divided into 3 categories: standard, plus, and prime. And the reason for this is to ensure that to actually achieve 3 objectives: to keep the flats affordable,
which is a very important objective by our local government, right? Affordability of real estate. Yep.
To maintain a good social mix.
Yep.
Because nowadays, I think for especially flats in Duxton area where flats are around $1 to $1.4 million. We're seeing a specific group of income buyers who are only looking in that area.
Just yesterday, the news came out and it was coveted that one of the Duxton flat went up for 1.4 million. It was like record transactions. Right?
Yeah. And I don't think anyone would have expected a HDB to be going at that price. And before, when HDB was going only at 1 million, everyone was really going crazy.
Going crazy about it. Yeah.
And now it's at 1.4 million. So I think, with this implementation of the new HDB public housing regulations, it's going to really help to keep the public housing fair for everyone and to maintain that social mix that Singapore has always wanted for the public housing in Singapore.
Absolutely. I believe you sound like a politician for the time being. Maybe our future housing minister. But okay, I think that's cool. I think one thing that I realized about this particular implementation, right? It's because the government really just wants to curb two things. Number one, ensure that affordability of real estate is something that is not of concern, even though some people do not agree with it because our HDB prices even BTO prices are going sky high. But 80% of Singaporeans are living in BTOs and HDBs. That's number one. Number two, also to reduce speculation of, going for specific mature estates, right? And then hoping that they can get a bull run when it comes to selling the properties eventually. And the government wants to remove that non-mature and mature estate classifications, standard, plus, and prime. I think for most of y'all who know, the plus areas are just, the plus classifications are for areas that are closer to some transport nodes, more convenient, right? And of course the prime, I'm talking about of course, Pinnacle at Duxton, well, I missed that, but definitely near the city centre, right? And there is a 10 years holding period. So that's why this week I told the investment team, right, both Grace and Chris, I said, hey, come on, let's talk a little bit more about what is our perspective to it, right? If your holding period is going to be 10 years, right, that is equivalent to 3 property cycles that you are missing. I'm going to share with you my honest opinion. Will I ever go into something like this? Okay. I think there are just 2 groups of individuals. The first group of individuals are individuals who are living quite a comfortable life. They don't want to have too much stress. They see their life not as a real estate gameplay. They don't believe too much in the investments. They just want to have a calm, a very peaceful life. Don't have to jump off the balconies of anything, right? Don't have to hide in the drains, right? There are people like this. These individuals, I feel that getting something that locks you in for 10 years isn't that bad, right? Because it gives you that stability, right? I was just comparing the mortgage of a BTO versus something of a private property. It's totally different and it's very stressful, once you buy a private property that's quite expensive, right? So that's the first thing, right? But for individuals who are more investment savvy, you want to have a head start in life, you want to make the right investment decisions, then 10 years is a long time. For me, my perspective, I'll never enter something that's 10 years, right? Okay, so that's just my own opinion, right? But I think let's open it up, right, to our comment section. Would you be someone who would be interested to go into standard, plus, or prime? Would you even consider the plus and prime classifications? What about you? Would you go into plus and prime?
I think that, like you mentioned earlier, there are 2 types of buyers who are looking into HDBs versus private.
Yes.
And in this case, as what the government mentioned, the reason why they implemented this is to actually minimize buyers who are trying to flip the properties.
Absolutely.
Because this past 5 years, especially after COVID, we saw how crazy people were paying for COV because of the lack of supply.
Yes.
And they are taking advantage of this to actually profit from the HDBs and, upgrade.
Yes.
So, for myself, I would definitely not go for the 10 years.
Yes.
5 years maybe for some buyers who are still young and they want to get a house that's affordable.
Or they just want to have a kickstart their life, right?
Correct.
Yeah,
it's an option for them. But for 10 years, probably not.
Yeah. So representing all the millennials out there, I just feel that we're quite old already, calling ourselves millennials, Gen Zs, and even the Gen Alphas, right, who may be 10 years old right now, be very, very prudent and also, of course, be wise about real estate investments because that really sets you up. Right. Speaking for someone who have sold his real estate, I sold my real estate. That capital appreciation helped me a lot in my new down payment of my new home. And now my property has already appreciated within 1 year. So this is something that I feel that, sometimes the appreciation of property can even outbeat the income that you earn in that year, right? So talk to some people who are savvy in investments and get that head start, all right? Okay, one more thing I just want to add also. I just wanted to say that I'm so thankful. Hopefully I don't jinx this, but the government did not increase our SST period. Last time what happened was 4 years reduced to 3 years because they wanted more liquidity to inject more supply in the market. But you see, HDB, they are actually increasing the number of years for MOP. So I think the direction and the narrative from the government is consistent. Which one do they want to be affordable? Is it condos or is it HDBs, right? Which one are they pressing hard on ensuring that the price stays, low, right? And it's obviously HDBs, right? So we have covered in our webinars countless and countless of times, right? About whether it's a property bubble, should you consider private, should you consider HDB, right? Go and watch them when you see it, okay? All right, so next up, we're talking about a little bit more about the rental market, right? State-owned buildings being converted to co-living spaces. Share with us, what is happening?
Okay, so now we are seeing a lot of demand for co-living spaces where it's kind of like an Airbnb style where they really stage the entire unit nicely so that you can just bring in your luggage without having to, think about furniture.
Absolutely.
So it's extremely convenient. That's the idea of co-living space where you can actually partition rooms. You can decorate the rooms nicely, stage it nicely so that tenants don't have to think about all of this. And charge at a much better rate compared to, an vacant home where it's about sometimes $4,000 for a one bedroom unit, especially closer to city centers.
Yes.
And I think we've seen the crazy demand for rental markets now after COVID.
Yeah.
And so the idea of co-living space is to make it affordable for tenants.
Yeah. And it's a funny thing is that just a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about how this Choa Chu Kang HDB flat rent out for $6,500.
Yeah.
I was thinking $6,500, I can really pay a nice mortgage of a condo, right? And then I can even enjoy, 1.8 million. I can enjoy, the capital appreciation of the real estate. So, but this shows that there is a demand for, either short-term stay, right? Or even potentially, a lot of delays in the BTO or even TOP condominiums where people really need that just short-term accommodation. I think co-living is something that's amazing because they provide that 3-month flexibility rather than 6 months, right? Which is what the government actually wanted for private leasing to happen. And I think that this is something that is it's just adapted really well to the market because nowadays, I'm just thinking about myself, right? When I go home, by the time I reach home, right, it's already like 12 to 1 a.m. I will go into the toilet, I will take a shower. Next stop, I will either be in my reading room or if I'm just too tired, I'll go into the bedroom. So actually what I really need, right, 90% of the time habitually, right, it's just one toilet and one room. And I don't mind paying less for that. And we still have the common spaces.
There's a proper bedroom.
Absolutely.
You don't really cook anyway, so as long as it's near to some food or hawker.
I don't.
As long as it's near to food, hawker, MRT, I think that's something that everyone wants, finding a rental place.
Yes. I recalled something about the occupancy rate that you wanted to talk about as well. What was it about?
Yeah, so interesting thing in Singapore, it's, I'm not sure. So this is actually, it varies across different countries, right? And in Singapore, the occupancy rate is very high at 95%.
It's insane, right?
And I think we were analyzing Bali properties, it was around 85%.
Yeah.
So we're actually 10% higher. It's only 5% more to always having a full occupancy rate.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. So that's the reason why even in the CBD areas, you're going to see, how the government is actually trying to convert some buildings into residential apartments at the top as well. Because just simply put, we have not much. We have enough housing, but if let's say with we are declining in terms of our population because our people of our generation, we're not looking to give birth so much. But I think now when I'm asking my friends around me, they all say I want 3, I want 4.
Oh, really?
Previous generation say 1, 2. Right? My parents said that. So you say 2, right? 2. Minimally 2, right? So I think that the population may increase, right? Okay, this is the non-research stuff. This is just based on what I've been, because now we're all in the marriage season and we're just talking to people about how many kids you want. All right. Okay, let's head on to the next one. Singapore's household wealth rose 7.2%, defying the global decline. I like that. I don't feel that my wealth went up. Okay.
Be positive.
Yes.
Okay. So actually, a lot of the news about Singapore, it's about defying the global market, especially not only in property prices, but also in terms of global wealth. But also because part of this household wealth is from Singapore's real estate market.
Yeah. So actually, this when it comes to the household wealth growth, right? Part of it is also because of the appreciation of the assets as well, right? And in the year, I think this is 2022, right? So in the year 2022, how much did our PPI increase by?
Increase about 8.4 to 8.5%.
Yeah. Okay. So fun fact, right? I think this is something that Chris, our director of investments, have talked about a lot of times. And I tell you one thing, in our meeting rooms, we always talk about investments as well, because I think it's important to know what phase is Singapore in, what stage is Singapore's real estate market in. And last year, truth be told, I was just thinking 5 years back, 6 years back, right? In the real estate market, you buy almost anything that is BUC, you can make money because developers do very proper price staging. Of course, some that, when the break-even price is a bit too low compared to the launch price, there's some risk involved. But right now in today's market, it's totally different. And this scares me a little bit because I'm seeing that there's a great frenzy of people buying property because they have adopted the mentality, that, we should enter fast. We have to enter quick because we have lost out in the previous market, right? And you have seen people making money after that 3 years SSD appreciating, right? And, in our channel, we talk about the 3 best performing new launches that happened, the 3 worst that the investment team will cover. But, the fun fact here is that the developers who are also people who are supplying the homes and pricing the units know that there's a FOMO mentality on the ground. And I am not extremely confident that every single real estate in the market in BUC is going to appreciate. I think that the narrative has changed because if you look specifically at the resale price gap, you're going to see that there's a huge discrepancy. So in this market, you have to be very prudent and you have to be very slow in taking action. But of course, in today's market, if there's something that's of undervalued, if there's something that's of fire sale, doesn't have to be a money laundering case, lah. Actually some properties are sold cheaper than what the state is going to sell, right? Or even some BUC with great opportunities. Then that's when you have to take quick action, lah, right? Don't lose it, right? Well, property prices continue to climb in Singapore? The answer is yes. But are you buying at a bullish pricing right now? I think part of it, yeah, you are, right? So always be prudent about this. Okay, any questions that you have, you can just always link it to us. But another thing I just want to share is this, right? I think the Singapore people are always going to say I bootleg the Singapore government, but it's not lah. I love the government. The government is doing such a good job, right? Take a look at this, right? There is a 2.4% global decline in total net household wealth, and 3.6% drop. But in Singapore, we are like in our own bubble,
Yeah.
Everything is like going fine,
going
right?
Up, going fine.
Yeah,
and
going
actually,
fine. Yes.
If you're looking at this, they are saying that financial assets like stocks and currency were the major factor that contributed to the decline.
Yes.
And the reason why Singapore was increasing is because of our property price.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I love that, right? All right. Thank you so much for catching us on this week's News Dash. Hope to see you real soon, actually. And there'll be a lot of interesting updates for JNA Real Estate coming up. And just want to thank you for the support thus far. I know that the views of this is not the highest, but it's fine. We want to really update the viewers or the supporters that have been with us for a long time, right? Treat it like an insider group that we just want to share with you our perspective, right? Because opportunities market there's not too much, right? But of course, if you feel that it's beneficial, share with your friends. And of course, comment, right? Comment in the section below what you think, right? Thank you so much for watching this episode of the JNA's News Dash, right? Powered by, of course, Singapore's Real Estate Explained, which is our podcast channel. This is Jervis.
This is Geraldine.
We'll see you once again, all right? Take care. Bye-bye.